Welcome to Curious Goldfish, a podcast community where music and curiosity come together through interesting conversations with the music makers of our world. I'm your host, Jason English. You can find Curious Goldfish in all the major podcast and social media platforms, and of course, we have all of our content on our website, curiousgoldfish.com. Hey, Sarah, welcome to Nashville.
Hey,
Georgia,
hey.
You got Georgia representing today.
Yes,
right?
yes, ATL.
Let's go. All right.
/ Athens.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
you're a little bit of both, I think.
Yeah.
But so you're here at the RE Retreat Songwriter Collective, melting pot of producers, musicians, artists, whatever, songwriters, I guess.
Melting pot is a great way to describe it.
Yeah, it's what's that experience been like for you?
The first day was quite chaotic. I've never been in a space with as many producers and artists and creatives all at the same time. So at first I was like, oh my goodness, what in the world am I doing? But over the course of time, we're on third day now.
Yeah.
And it's getting better each day.
Okay.
So you just got to kind of that's been the biggest thing, is just finding how to navigate all of these people and finding where you fit and where your strengths are needed.
Yeah. There's a lot of sort of subtle positioning.
Yes.
Right. Which is
Subtle,
natural.
to say the yes.
Which is natural for a lot of
Yes.
people that are confident and
and a lot of
experience.
finding that a lot of people already knew each other or whatever, and coming into it not knowing anybody at all was interesting.
Yeah.
So it's really a lot of just vouching for yourself and being like, hey, I can do this and this and this. Please
Right.
have me,
Yeah.
and seeing who will take you.
What's a good moment that you'll look back on with sort of excitement?
Actually, this last one that I just had just now, that was, like I said, I walked up the stairs and I was just floating around, just saying hi to people, seeing if anybody, if my skills were able to be utilized anywhere. And Kate, she's like, oh my God, you're not doing anything? Come on in.
Oh, okay.
And I ended up just singing on this spooky sync track, and they're like, oh my God, we love your voice. And it's such a supportive, energetic room, and just a blessing to work with people like that. And it was just by happenstance. So,
all right.
Yeah, favorite one so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the purpose of doing something like this, which is a little bit less formal and
Yes.
sort of more flexible. Things like that could happen.
Absolutely, but then when there's so many people, it's very, very hard to get your space.
Yeah.
So that's been the difficult thing, is getting that time figured out.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So for those of who are watching or listening that don't know who Sarah Mootz is, give us the headlines of your life, your career, where you're from, what you're into.
Oh, goodness. Let me try not to talk your ear off. Well, I've been a musician for about 12 years now. Okay. Started out when I was 16. I'm 27 now. Okay. And I played my first bar gig when I was 16 and came out to Nashville. I was working with Johnny Cash's old producer, Pat Holt.
Okay.
And he was working with me for about 4 years. We cut a whole 9-song album, and then sort of just ghosted me. So that was fun. And I think that really it just turned out he just didn't know how to showcase my unique talent. He was kind of wanting me to be radio country, and that's not what I am. Yeah. And I think that he learned that through the course of recording the album, and just didn't really know what to do with me. And this is me all just assuming these things. But so I hadn't heard from him since, but that was 4 years of my starting career where I thought, I met Taylor Swift's lawyer. I played at her lawyer's house for the solar eclipse, and it was just a starstruck moment. Wow. I was so young, and coming out of that was very, very difficult. Not knowing why I didn't hear from them anymore. I spent every weekend as a teenager in my bedroom recording GarageBand demos for them. So that was tough. And so after that, I found myself in Athens eventually at UGA studying music business.
Okay.
Because after gigging around solo female acoustic at bars and stuff. It was just really, really tough to vouch for myself and stand up for myself and know my rights and whatever. So decided to learn all that.
Okay.
So I did that, and meanwhile I was back and forth co-writing. I've always been back and forth to Nashville co-writing and trying to make all the connections I can, and so I ended up during COVID, while we were in lockdown, I connected with a bedroom producer that had all of the equipment in his bedroom.
All right.
And so started working with him, and the indie pop, indie rock sound came about, and that just fit me so well, and I was so passionate about it, and so that's kind of the direction I've been for the last 4 years, is indie pop rock artist, and the basis is singer-songwriter.
Yeah, right.
Write songs from the heart.
Right.
I was telling them in there, it's like at the basis of what I do is to connect with other people. I'm very emotionally driven, and and I started out singing soul music. So
all right.
just taking all those elements and putting it into the type of production I like.
What are some of the highlights of the time there, and how much of that has influenced what you're doing now?
So much. I think that Athens is special because nobody's trying to make a buck. Everybody's just doing it for fun, and that has its pros and cons, right? Because when it comes to business, you've got to learn the business side if you want to do this full time and make a living.
Yeah.
So that's why I branch out to Nashville and LA. I'm trying to get to next to meet those people. But Athens, at the heart of it, is there just because they value artists and they value unique, sound. And so that's been really cool to live in a world like that. And that's been so good for my art and my soul.
It sounds like you had, a little bit of a start-stop with the first album. But what's impressed me about just kind of hanging out with you last couple of days is your confidence. And I think, we were kind of scheduling this, and I was like, I can't wait to talk to you, like bring your A game. And you're like, I am the A game. And so that speaks a lot about, I think, you and who you are, because, a lot of people would either quit or have sort of a Debbie Downer sort of attitude, and I think the other example is on your Instagram, I think it was earlier this year, just like any other musician, you probably do a lot of gigs where you're singing a lot of covers.
Oh yeah, that's my full-time job.
Yeah, no one's listening to you really. There's a lot of background talk, and I think you said something to the effect of like, hey, like that's cool, but it's kind of my time now to like step up. Like that's really cool. I guess what was it? What was the trigger for that?
Switch.
To sort of like emerge.
Yeah, so I think pure desperation, to be honest with you. And thank you for recognizing the confidence. It's been a lot of work to get there.
Yeah.
But gigging in bars and wineries for the last 4 years with the intent of not doing it for 4 years, just hoping to eventually get big enough opportunities to get my way out. It changed me in a way that in some ways I hate, and in some ways I'm very proud of, and the confidence is one of the things I'm proud of. And you have to, in order to maintain some sort of sanity as an artist and as a valuable performer, you have to figure out how to get people, at least some of the people, that are not trying to listen to you or did not expect to listen to you when they came to eat their pizza or drink their wine. You have to figure out how to convert them. And I learned to speak up for myself in a microphone to people that weren't asking for it. And it is a delicate thing to try to do that, and I got better at it with time, but that has benefited me so much because it's like an on and off switch. It's like when I'm in music, I'm here, I'm networking, I'm creating with other people I don't know. I turn on that switch, and it's helped a ton to build those relationships faster and to really kind of succeed. And I'm hoping it eventually pays off. It hadn't yet, but I'm here, and that's a starting step.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that's interesting watching musicians who you're just hustling, doing their thing is, and I know it's not natural, but you got to make the ask.
Yeah.
And so, I was somewhere and I I had the opportunity to introduce some people that were performing once, and I encouraged everybody in the audience to follow them on Instagram. And later on in the performance, he's like, I never thought to ask for that. You know, so it's like I think artists are kind of their own worst enemies.
Yes.
Because they kind of assume the art speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to actually like ask, you know?
Yeah, I try to have this theory about my life and everything being so darn difficult in this industry for me, that, you know, you're building a strong backbone and you're building that foundation and maybe that's why I've been through so many trials and tribulations, because I've got plenty of friends that overnight, boom, they're huge cuts, they write A&R found them, they've got label backing, you know, and it's never happened for me. And so I think back to your point is that like trying to remain resilient in all of this and look at it as there's a reason why, and then, you know, but there are some artists who have been thrown into success so quick that I don't think that they've learned yet that they have to vouch for themselves or that they have to ask. Yeah. And that was a big thing as an introverted, highly sensitive songwriter. Like, I don't want to ask people to, I'm a people pleaser. I'm like, how do you feel? I don't care about how I feel, you know? But learning how to jump out of that and really kind of stand up for myself and ask and tell the world what you need. And that's been a big thing. That's been a big thing. And I feel like it's a necessary tool. But you know, like I said, when you are thrown into success so quick and you've met the right people and you haven't had to do that, there's a lot of people. I've got a friend who managed me for a long time, one of my best friends. She works for a talent agency, a booking agency. And she says, yeah, these bands that we signed, you know, they don't want to do meet and greets with their fans. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Because I'm sitting here DMing. I spend 6 hours a day. That's what I do during the week. I DM these fans. I get them on my email list. I send them a free sticker. I'm building relationships. I'm building ticket sales and merch sales and true connection. But these bands that have ended up with a contract so quick, they don't know the value of that one-to-one and making people feel connected, you know? And sometimes you just got enough money, you don't need that value, but when you don't, you've got to make the most of it. So,
that's a good point.
There's a little rant for you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You didn't ask for that one.
Yeah, that's good. So what song do you think in your catalog that's out there now best represents who Sarah Mootz is?
Oh my goodness. Well, that is released. Yeah. That is released. I would say my song "Say You Love Me." Okay. I wrote "Say You Love Me" after I came back from an American Idol audition that was very traumatic. Oh my gosh. And I got a free San Diego trip out of it, but that was the best thing that came from it. But yeah, so I spent probably 3 months when I came back just hiding out, you know, wondering why the heck I'm doing this, you know. Gosh. And that song came out like all the best ones do, you know, just sitting there miserable, and these words, they come to you, and these chords, they come to you, and you don't know how. This feels like you're channeling something else, you know. And it was, I have a tendency, not on purpose, to write things that I need to hear, like that I'm not telling myself yet. Yeah. And "Say You Love Me" was one of those where I was like, oh my God, take your own advice, you know, because the whole thing is just, this is a letter from myself to me. Say you love me, say you're proud, and that you still believe. Oh, wow. And it was just, that anthem of like, hey, remember who you are. Like, this does not define you just because these people don't like you, you know.
What's the cliff notes around the American Idol?
The American Idol story. How can I? Yeah, so it was COVID. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting. Yeah. And so you had to get tested before you even could get on a plane. And my test came back later than expected for my flight. So my flight got delayed. Okay. And in turn, when I got there, they were so confused. They're like, oh my gosh, you were supposed to be in group blah, 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 but now since you're late, you're in group blah, blah, blah. And I honestly, I didn't even have a group. They just made it up. I just ended up being thrown in at the end of everything. And I had no clue that that would affect my chances so much. But, going over the course, I think I was there for 4 days.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm in a hotel, and everything's in the hotel. So there's different stations, and I'll never forget it. My audition was the very last day possible to audition. But the day before, I had walked up to a producer, and I said, hey, I'm Sarah Mootz. I have no clue where I'm supposed to be right now because there's all these different interview tents and whatever. I said, where do I go? And he looked down at his clipboard and he said, Sarah Mootz, go to the winner's circle and film with your golden ticket. And I hadn't auditioned yet. And I looked at him and I told him that, and he said, pretend I didn't tell you that.
Oh, my gosh.
Go to this interview tent. So I went to an interview tent, and it was a bunch of hurry up and wait and whatever.
Right.
I didn't know why I was there. And I was like,
That's interesting.
And honestly, I was so happy because I was like, oh, that means I'm going to make it. Because at this point,
yeah, that's crazy.
At this point, there's all the contestants are talking. It's rigged. They know who they want. Blah 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 blah. And and they had me come out with my electric guitar, which I never play, but I had one video on Instagram that they liked of me singing that song Dance Monkey that was really
right.
Dance for me, dance for me, dance for me, oh.
Yeah.
And I did like that really cool vocal tone, and I sounded a lot like her, and I did it with my electric.
Yeah.
They went crazy. They wanted me to be their big rock electric gal, and that's not me. I'm a singer-songwriter. So upon doing a bunch of hair flips on camera and then finally getting in there for my audition, it was 10 minutes prior to getting in that room, and I looked out the window. They're breaking down the interview tents that I would have had to go to after.
Oh, my gosh.
And all the people before me, I'm listening to their audition because you can hear them. And I'm going, oh, my God, why did they just tell them no? They had the story. They had they had everything. And then my partner, who was there with me, he looked at me and he said, Sarah, just go in there and do your best.
Oh,
and I knew it in his eyes because he's smart.
Yeah,
he's an engineer. He's not full of hope and dreams like I am. No, I mean, he is, but he's very logical. And he said, just go in there and do your best. And I walked in there. I did my best. I killed it.
Yeah.
I was very proud.
Yeah.
Nerves didn't get me. I was so proud. And they're
was it the audition in front of like the celebrity judges? And
yeah,
everything?
Luke, Katie, and Lionel.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
And what happened? So I played, and they said they didn't like the electric guitar with my voice.
Oh my gosh!
Which the producers made me play the electric guitar because I fought for it too. Because I was like, I want to do my acoustic. I want to do an original song because they were starting to allow that.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're, no. You got to get their attention first. Make them dance first. And
oh wow.
And so after they said they didn't like the electric, I said, can I play one of my songs and they'll turn the overdrive down so it kind of sounds like an acoustic. And Katie said, well, honey, everybody gets one song. You already got your one.
Oh no.
And so and then Lionel was like, I just really think you just need to figure it out. You came in here talking about how you were in a rock band and you're playing your electric, but now you're saying you never play your electric. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was fuming. And I was like, but I'm not going to give that to them on camera.
Yeah,
oh my God, that's exactly what they want.
Yeah.
So I held it together and I cried when I was backstage. And then they drag you to this dark room with an interview gal, and she's asking you, where do you think your life is going to go from here? And you're just trying to like hold it together and be a badass basically.
Wow.
And that's the way it goes.
So what'd you learn? What'd you take away from that? Because that obviously was traumatic. You have a song based on that.
Yeah.
But like looking back, hopefully you've taken away a few lessons, right?
I think you can see the confidence. Like you said earlier, it's a very developed thing, and that's part of it. It's going through stuff like that, and you have to believe in yourself more than anyone else does if you want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And especially when you're someone like me that's got a unique sound and it's hard for people to understand sometimes, whatever. Yeah. You've got to believe. And that taught me, and I had learned before, but that just was another thing that like, okay, you've got to pick yourself back up. You got to pick yourself back up. Yeah. And that's one of the most valuable skills that I've learned. It's just how to get back up.
All right, good for you.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah.
So Say You Love Me, the one that I've listened to is called The Dog, and it's
I'm Most streamed, yeah.
Yeah, so it's what I love about that, it's like, yeah, I think the lyric goes something like I only miss your parents and the dog.
Yeah.
But then like, is the dog really like another name for the guy that
Oh, shoot.
like he's the dog.
Do you know what? I didn't even think about it like that. That's very creative of you.
But that's cool. It's like, yeah, I don't really miss you, but I do miss your parents and the dog.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. That line was one of the first fake songs I have ever written.
Okay.
Most of my songs come from trauma and whatever.
Oh, so that's not from Heartbreak or anything
no,
like
it's
that.
not. And
Nice.
most people think that it's a real story because it's so specific.
Yes.
But it's not. It was just a line that came to me while I was driving in my car. You know?
Okay.
I was like, I don't think anybody's written a song about missing their parents and their dog, and I think I had just gone through a breakup, so it was easy to write.
Yeah.
But he didn't have a dog, and I didn't miss his parents, that's for sure.
Well, that's good. All right, well, good. That's good.
But that's my most fun. I call that my most lighthearted breakup song.
Yeah. We need more of those, actually.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I do think we need more of those. Absolutely, they're hard to write.
So we've talked about some of the songs that are out, but you have a whole batch of songs that you're waiting to get out there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited.
Yeah. What's the theme or the context of those songs, and what's the plan to get them released?
Yeah. I'm so happy to talk about it. It's my first time talking about it.
Oh,
I've got all
perfect.
these press things lined up that I wanna try to get to, but
Awesome.
hadn't happened yet. And so the theme of the album's called Human Condition, and
Okay.
it's 11 songs, and it's just songs that I've written fresh from just going through my 20s. Like I said, I'm 27, and I feel like I've learned so many lessons in my 20s, just life lessons and things. So there's just a lot of me realizing a lot of things, self-realizations.
Okay.
And so I'm really proud of it. And there's also some pop bangers on there and some rock bangers too to mix things up. But it's a very, very deep kind of self-realized album.
Okay.
So yeah, it's more mature than any of the sounds I've released so far.
Any influences that you can kind of point to?
Yeah. So we tried to kind of because I am so vocally driven, but I love production. And so in my last album and EPs, I think that sometimes we get a little bit carried away with production, and in a good way. I mean, these tracks are great, but I think to really hone in on what I do best and my vocal capabilities and my emotion and the way I convey it is to kind of strip things back sometimes. And so we intentionally did that with a lot of these songs.
Oh, good.
We stripped things back, and one of my main idols is actually an artist from here in town, Maddie Diaz.
Okay.
She's not huge. Granted, if I was in her position, I'd be very, very proud. But she was actually, fun fact, Harry Styles' guitar player at one point. But she's got this great solo project, and just opened up for Casey Musgraves on tour, stuff like that. And she's probably my main person I've drawn from, because she's got a really great way of just conveying emotion.
Good.
And just she doesn't need the production to do it for her. The songs do it, and her voice does it.
Okay.
So that was the goal.
All right.
Yeah.
So Human Condition.
Yeah, Human Condition.
Do you think that, is it this year, next year? What do you think?
Yeah, I've already been waiting. I'm going on 2 years now.
Okay.
The first year I started out pitching record labels. I ended up on a distro deal.
Okay.
And with a manager out from Atlanta. And things just didn't really go as I had hoped.
Yeah.
As things happen in the music industry. So I terminated that distro deal, started doing things on my own, got off of that manager's catalog or whatever, and started just doing things for my own. And then I was like, all right, I need money. Because that was the point in getting a record deal, was hopefully getting an advance of some sort.
Sure.
Because you just can't. It is just so hard with marketing and stuff to compete with what's going on out here without any major funds. And I thought my talent was going to get me further, but if I've learned anything about the music industry, it's that your talent does not matter. And they taught me that in music business school, but I did not listen. I was like, no, I'm different. I'm going to get somewhere. And I thought, I'm going to just gig my butt off, and the right people are going to hear me, and da-da-da. No, didn't happen that way. So so now, after looking for investors for the last year, literally just turning on this business gal mindset and sitting down with a bunch of rich company owners that I would meet out at gigs or whatever, and trying to build relationships with them, and just realizing that this is just too much of a gamble for anyone because my numbers are so small. So it's just too big of a gamble, and so I just realized that if I want it, I got to do it myself. And so I mean, we're talking major dedication. We've got, my partner is now thinking about we're thinking about going in together on the house that we're renting and trying to get money from the loan to put back into the career. And I'm currently training to be a life insurance sales agent. And this is after 2 years of pitching syncs and I was on Centric Music Publishing. I was exclusive with them for 2 years. Nothing came of it. It's just such a saturated industry. It's just so hard without those pre-connections to get to a point where you can really monetize what you're doing. So,
well, one thing my dad always said to me was, the cream always rises to the top, right? And sometimes it
I've never heard that before.
Sometimes it's not the timing that you want or expect, but for whatever it's worth, like don't give up, man.
I think for my mental health's sake, I'm trying to learn how to like detach in a way and be like, okay, now Sarah, you do not have to depend on music success. Let's find all the other things that are going right. And let's still push, but healthily, because I think when you become so desperate for success and you become so desperate for income off of your art, it's just a really unhealthy place to be in. And I've been fighting that for 2 years.
Well, and maybe if you disassociate yourself with that, it'll happen.
And do you know what? I had a realization one day. I said, you know what? The only thing I hadn't done yet, because I'm very controlling of my life and my career. I want this. I know how to get it. I find out how to get it. I want to derive everything. And life don't work that way. And so I had that realization of like, you know what, Sarah? The only thing you haven't done yet is sort of stop. And just kind of do the best you can for yourself. Focus on yourself and what makes you happy. And let the rest fall into place. And so, like I said, I'm still pushing. We're still doing desperate things out here, but in a less desperate way.
All right. Well, good. Well, one thing I always ask people, because I think curiosity is understated and underestimated and unused, I think, in corporate life and relationships and everything. But so having gone through everything that you've gone through, what are you most curious about?
Wow. Oh, I think I'm most curious about building a life where I what does that feel like to feel like I have accomplished what I set out to do. And I think that's what drives the dream too, is like that curiosity to be like, oh my God, what does that kind of life look like after? And not to say the grass is always greener on the other side, whatever, but just like to because when you work so hard, it's very, very difficult when you're not reaping any of the benefits. Like I haven't seen any fruits from my labor yet. Financially, I'm struggling to pay the bills still, and so I am most curious about what it looks like to have that sort of lifestyle and to not have to worry anymore. That's at least right now, the phase that I'm in, and to be creative on my own terms, rather than being so desperate to impress someone or get a record deal or, All
right. We'll stay confident.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep your head up and
probably the best thing I've learned.
Well, and let's look out for Human Condition, and I'd love to hear a song or two if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yes. All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Sarah Mootz, and this is a song called Say You Love Me. Oh, I'm boarding up the windows, gonna buy a real fast car, take all of my savings out and drive really far. 'Cause the world went dark and the trees turned gray. I forgot how to laugh, woke up sad again today. Just say you love me like you used to. Say you're proud and that you still believe. Just say you love me like you used to. This is a letter from myself to me. Just say you love me. Say you love me. These four walls I feel like I'm fighting, and the silence I drown. I swear I'm gonna die trying just to find my way out. 'Cause the world went dark and the trees turned gray. I forgot to laugh, woke up sad again today. Just say you love me like you used to. Say you're proud and that you still believe. Or say you love me like you used to. This is a letter from myself to me. Just say you love me. Say you love me. They chewed me up, spit me out, started a fire I couldn't put out. Find me around with my head down, don't ask me how I am now. Oh, they chewed me up, spit me out, started a fire I couldn't put out. Find me around with my head down, don't ask me how I am now. Oh, just say you love me like you used to. Just say you love me like you used to. Say you're proud and that you still believe. Just say you love me like you used to. This is a letter from myself to me. Just say you love me. Say you love me. I'm Sarah Mootz, and this is a song off my unreleased album, Human Condition. This is kind of what I think life is about. It's called The Secret. Maybe all we need is someone to believe. Maybe what we've got is all we really need. We can spend our lives chasing the dream, turn around and all we see is nothing. And I don't wanna be 70, wishing I could tell a better story. It seems like all we do is compete for some stupid glory. It's not the money, the house, the bullshit that we found. Consumerist, spend forever in the world, blinded by the pearls. Do you feel rich, chasing our tails? Look around, we got all we need if you do just take the time to see it. Yeah, that's the secret. Yeah, that's the secret. If the world went dark and all we saw was the truth, would you be standing where you are, or would it scare you? Oh, there's so many things we like to overlook. Oh, we take one glance, think we read the whole book. And I don't wanna be 70, wishing I could tell a better story. It seems like all we do is compete for some stupid glory. It's not the money, the house, the bullshit that we found. Consumerists spend forever in the world, blinded by the pearls. Do you feel rich, chasing our tails? Look around. We got all we need if you just take the time to see it. Yeah, that's the secret. Yeah, that's the secret. It's not the money, the house, the bullshit that we found. Consumerists spend forever in the world, blinded by the pearls. Do you feel rich, chasing our tails? Look around. We got all we need if you just take the time to see it. Yeah, that's the secret.